What's up, nation? Today let's talk about PS4 games getting improved load times and frame rates, and the Nintendo Switch Pro back in the rumor mill with a mini LED screen. All right, everyone. So today we got a couple exciting stories to talk about in the gaming news space. So it does look like Sony and their developers are now in the process of upgrading a number of PlayStation 4 games to be better optimized for both PlayStation 5, and even it looks like they're implementing some of their load time techniques that maybe the PlayStation 5 uses on the PlayStation 4 hardware itself, because with some of these patches, even on the PlayStation 4 hardware, the load times have been cut dramatically down. Like Last of Us Remastered went from about a minute and a half initial startup time to something like in the realm of 13 to 14 seconds. So we're going to talk through what kind of changes we can expect to see as far as PlayStation 4 games go, and maybe which ones that you can look for to get the updates to be better optimized for the PlayStation 5, because obviously both frame rate increases and load time decreases are going to be a great thing to expect as we walk forward into this new console generation, and probably one of the biggest standout features that you can expect to see for all of your backwards compatible PlayStation 4 games. So stick around for those details. And then the other thing we're going to cover is actually Nintendo Switch Pro rumors. We are walking closer forward to the holiday season, and in case of anybody out there that doesn't have a Switch is planning on getting one, you might want to wait just a little bit longer, because more and more reports are pointing towards an upgraded screen on this new Nintendo Switch Pro, which obviously, if it's going to be optimized to do some kind of a 4K upscaling, you would expect to see a better display. So maybe hold off on Nintendo Switch purchases if you don't have one already. I do have one, and it's probably the second most played console, second only to the PlayStation, and I honestly go back and forth almost 50-50 between the two. So I did want to share those details of the new reports with you guys in case if you're in the market for a Nintendo Switch at some point. Before we do hop into all the details, guys, I just wanted to quickly invite everybody to join Sunbro Nation if you haven't done so already. Do so by subscribing below, hit the like button on this video if you do enjoy the content today, and then make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming and console news as we walk forward closer to this new console generation. But with that, guys, let's dive into the details. So the first thing we'll talk about is the ability that developers are now getting to apparently drastically reduce load times. Now, some of this has already gone live on PlayStation 4 hardware. Now, obviously, that does not have the PlayStation 5 SSD that's really going to be able to drive down these load times, but apparently Sony's compression technology, or something that they've uncovered with this newer infrastructure that they're going to be launching on the PlayStation 5, is also benefiting load times on the PlayStation 4. So we've already seen Last of Us Remastered really get reduced probably by the most drastic that I've seen, from taking it down from a minute and a half to about 13 seconds on its initial load time. There was Until Dawn got a patch, I guess, that virtually removed its load screens, because, you know, we're really not expecting to have anything in the way of load times on the PlayStation 5. If there is a load time, it'll be extremely minimal and probably just like a quick splash screen, like a transition effect, more than an actual load screen itself. And then a really exciting one for me, I'm personally a huge fan of God of War and the God of War series, and the developers at Santa Monica Studios did actually confirm that not only will your saves be able to transfer, but they're also going to be improving load times and offering 60 frames per second on both God of War 3 Remastered and God of War, which was released in 2018 on the PS4. So that's super exciting to see. So do let me know what games you guys would hope to see that the PlayStation 4 library gets upgraded to these faster load times. I do think we'll see a number of them go this route, but of course it is up to the developer to go back into those games and put the work in to optimize it. So I'll be curious to see how much we do see as far as improvements go on the existing PlayStation 4 library. But I think obviously the bigger titles that we're going to continue to see new releases for going forward are going to get those updates, obviously. And then another game that we've even covered here on the channel, like Ghost of Tsushima, is also going to be running at 60 frames per second now. We don't know of all the resolution specifics, but I mean, potentially 4K 60, even if not 1440p 60 would still look great. It's still going to be a huge bump up from what we had on the previous generation, and I think that as we walk forward, we will see all of the major titles, probably not the smaller games, but I mean major titles that we're expecting Sony to kind of continue the franchises of, get those updates and run run smoother on both the PS4 and then especially on the PS5. Now, another thing I wanted to quickly talk about on this topic is in relation to the save data, because, you know, there's been a lot of questions on how things will transfer over from the PlayStation 4 to the PlayStation 5, and we covered that in a previous video as far as the process on how to do that. So go ahead and feel free to check that out if you're not familiar with it yet. But there is some new information around saves and what that kind of looks like, because even though you can transfer the game itself, it is actually up to the developers to make the save data actually compatible. So there is a chance that there's a portion of our libraries that we will have to actually just restart the game if we want to play the PlayStation 4 game on the PlayStation 5. So that's obviously not a very attractive sounding thing, especially whenever you have Microsoft on the other side kind of making it all seamless. So I do think Sony needs to put a little bit of pressure on developers to make sure that the vast majority of titles can move over on the forward, like with the same save data from the PlayStation 4, because I think that's a big deal to gamers, especially whenever you put in 50, 60, sometimes 100 plus hours into these titles. So hopefully we see a large library, but we can confirm that God of War and God of War 3 Remastered will both put your saves forward, and then I think we're going to see that same thing as we walk forward with the larger titles that we can probably expect sequels to release for the PlayStation 5, just like the frame rate and the load screen enhancements. I think the saves are kind of going to follow along those same things. So if you're playing a major game, a AAA game right now on the PlayStation 4, I wouldn't be too worried. I do think the developers, as we get closer to release, will comment on this more and hopefully share with us what their plan is as far as transitional save data to the PlayStation 5. But it does look like all of our games that we're enjoying today are going to get some nice upgrades, so definitely be excited about that. And then again, just leave me a comment below and let me know what is some games that you're hoping that maybe haven't been announced yet or haven't talked about their transition to the PS5. What are some of those games that you're hoping that get upgrades that you think could really benefit from them right now? So please let me know that in the comments down below. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is actually a Nintendo Switch Pro rumor, which we have seen heavily circulated all throughout the last of the part of 2020, as far as like the last few months as things have continued to ramp up, and Nintendo has actually continued to have discussions with manufacturers who are going to be providing parts for these newer versions of the Switch. And the latest report is one that they are actually interested in a micro LED display, which is really going to be the future of a lot of TV displays. If you read up on it, it is definitely like it's probably next on as far as Apple for their smartphones to kind of replace the super OLEDs and stuff like that we're seeing nowadays. So it's definitely a cutting edge technology, and I do think it would be smart for Nintendo to adopt this earlier rather than later. Obviously, the Switch family at this point has been selling fantastically for them, so they don't want to mess with the formula too much, but we do have to see some kind of hardware upgrade when you consider that Sony and Microsoft are both going to have third-party developers developing titles that are really meant to be run on higher end hardware. And I don't think that the Nintendo Switch Pro is necessarily going to be able to go punch for punch with this next console generation, but if they can get the newer NVIDIA Tegra chip in there and actually have the upgraded processing power, they can at least probably do some kind of 4K upscaling for the TV screen, and then they can put in a much better looking display that will actually show off those higher fidelity graphics, which is what I think they really need to do, because if you're a third-party developer and one console is just so far behind the others, you're probably not going to be porting many of your titles to it at all. So instead of getting left out in that conversation, we're probably going to continue to see the Switch Regular and the Switch Lite be offered, but then in addition to that, we should see the Nintendo Switch Pro go live some point in the first quarter of next year, at which point you will have the option to get Pro exclusive games or just Pro exclusive upgrades, kind of similar to what a PS4 Pro is. I mean, I can go ahead and put the same title in a regular PlayStation 4 or a PlayStation 4 Pro and get different frame rate and different resolution and different performance out of that title based off of which console it's in. So I think Nintendo's going to do something similar here. So in case if anybody out there is interested in buying one right now, I would just maybe hold off for a little while until we get something official. Obviously, Nintendo's not going to come on record and say, hey, we got a new Switch Pro in the works right before the holiday season, because the Switch is still going to probably dominate sales this holiday season. So I don't think we'll see anything official for them, but there is enough reports from different sources now that are saying that Nintendo is talking to their developers to get ready for a next gen hardware, and then they're also, going and having business meetings with different part manufacturers and screen manufacturers and things like that. So I do think we're seeing the revision hopefully come sometime soon in 2021. So just wanted to inform you guys on that. Thanks so much for watching the video today, everyone. I do truly appreciate you all sticking around until the end. I did at this point in the video just want to invite everybody to leave me a comment. Please let me know what your thoughts are on this PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5 game transition and what you're expecting from developers in terms of if our save files will work or not, and then the frame rate patches, and tell me what you're most excited about as far as that part goes. And then also tell me what your thoughts are on these Switch Pro rumors. Do you think we will see one next year, or are you kind of in the camp that no, these are all just rumors and, you know, Nintendo's probably not going to make any changes for the foreseeable future? So please let me know that in the comments down below. And then I did just want to quickly invite everybody one more time, if you haven't done so already, to join Sunbro Nation today. Do so by subscribing below. Hit the like button on this video on your way out if you did enjoy the content today, and then make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming and console news as we get closer and closer to the new generation. With that, guys, I'm going to end the video here. That's going to be it for me. Sunbro Nation, out.